But you know what they say. Everyone's a philosopher turned podcaster in 2020.
Why we?
And that's quite possibly the worst thing about them, that they won't shut up about it and will go out of their way to subject others to any and all thoughts that cross their mind, believing them to be nuggets of gold and wisdom. So here I am. And here you are. But it has helped me just stop and feel what I'm supposed to, what I've been running away from for so long, and even narrow down possible causes for this so called crisis. Because right now I have nothing but time to feel and think. I no longer have my socially approved distractions in the form of being a part of an institution and dedicating my whole life in service of it. Which is really just a very roundabout way of saying that I have graduated and am unemployed. But this is the first time in my life where I haven't had to jump from one institution to another and immediately conform to their schedule of existing, where they tell me what to do and what to think, and any and all sense of purpose and motivation and identity even is derived solely from what I can contribute to the institution. And that is the only legitimate reason for my membership in the first place, based on how I can serve it. And this may be in terms of religious, social, professional, academic, whatever institution. And now that I no longer have any such ties, I'm untethered and I don't know who I am anymore. And all this time, it was really just a feeling in my head that I've only ever acknowledged to myself and never even out loud. I've never had to face it or defend it in real life. But now everyone in real life is going out of their way to tell me I'm useless and to constantly remind me that I actually do not deserve to exist because I'm not contributing to the economy apparently, or doing anything that they consider worthy, and I'm wasting my life, and that my life really is meaningless because nobody benefits from it, because I'm not conforming or upholding their ideals of what a meaningful existence is, and they don't approve of what I'm doing, or rather of what I'm not doing. And it's gotten to the point where I have to wonder if maybe they are right. Usually, if it's just thoughts in your head, you can drown them out by singing the entire High School Musical soundtrack really loudly until you just can't hear the thoughts anymore. But it's harder to avoid other people's thoughts, especially when they take it upon themselves as a personal responsibility to force down your throat just what an utter failure they think you are, and how wrong and stupid and terrible you are in general. And also because Scream was singing, you gotta get your head in the game, you gotta get your head in the game really loudly in people's faces to get them to back the fuck off and leave you alone, can often result in detrimental consequences that once again involve a straitjacket. Anyway, so now I'm feeling rejection and loss, and really it's more like withdrawal symptoms. Because not only have I lost an identity and all the associated sense of worth or belongingness or membership or respect, and I'm yet to replace it with anything of supposed equal value, but now I also have to work harder to justify why I deserve to exist to myself and everyone else. Whereas before I could rely on these superficial institutional ties to give my existence meaning, or feel temporarily accepted or respected by others simply because they approved of whatever I was doing. And it kept me distracted enough to not think about what it really means. And now that fucking everyone is telling me that I'm a waste of space because who I am as a person simply isn't enough, it now has me questioning if it's even possible to have a sense of identity or purpose or respect that is independent of loyalties or ties to any institution. Is your very existence a matter of debate if you're not on some level and in some form contributing to, or just living to serve somebody or something, no matter how expendable or exploitative it may be? Are you not deserving of respect or any sense of worth as a person if you don't? Does your value stem only as far as your utility? Do I need to be eternally apologetic that I take up space and exist despite being deemed unworthy to do so? Is society built in such a way that if you're not serving its needs, then you're considered a burden and a waste of resources and can never truly belong to it? And that's why I feel like a loser whose entire existence is a fucking void, because I haven't become a part of the next institution where they tell me what to do and how to live and make use of me. And left to my own devices, I'm completely fucking lost. Because you can't ever exist completely removed from society and just be responsible for yourself as an individual. Because it's selfish and doesn't serve greater needs, and you will be ostracized. Or are these just really twisted excuses for me to make sense of my own feelings of failure and rejection when faced with my own so-called waste of space status? So, as an ever-reliable excuse, I'm blaming society. Or as primitive as it is it all true? Am I just surrounded by cavemen who shit on me simply because they think I'm not doing my part of serving them? Because I'm not letting them make use of me? Is it just a matter of meting out punishment to those who do not conform to their social responsibilities? I mean, I'm not trying to turn this into a commentary or critique of capitalism where intrinsic human value is based on how well you can fulfill social or economic needs and responsibilities, and it needs to be service to the institution and society above all else. Even though all of that is completely true. But you know what? Fuck all these other idiots and fuck what they think. This is about how I feel. And the fact is, I felt this way even when I was a part of various institutions. I knew that whatever attachment or identity I derived from it was simply from a false sense of belongingness or worth. But it was enough to keep me distracted from this lingering misery. I mean, it could also be because I was skimping on my duties and wasn't performing at maximum capacity by dedicating my whole life in service to the institution, and was selfishly trying to find meaning as an individual instead of existing as just another cog in the machine. But whatever. I mean, I'm still trying to make sense of who I am and what the fuck the point of all of this is. And it all just feels like it's looping. Like it's the same thing over and over again. I always come back to this feeling. Like, deja vu? No, it's like I've been here before. Like, deja vu? No, it's like I've been here before. I always feel this emptiness, and I don't fucking know how to fill it. And that's what I meant by withdrawal symptoms. It's not just because of the loss of an identity. I think it's because I've never had any other identity independent of an institution, or in a way that is not always dependent on my usefulness to someone else. Like, all my identifying traits would be good listener, will pay attention to you and appropriately and haw at all the necessary points of conversation. Or halfway funny, will make a complete and utter fool out of self just to entertain you to some degree. Or heck, maybe even responsible, can be trusted with any and all tasks because will literally prioritize serving others over fulfilling basic needs of hunger or sleep. Or, yeah, that's about it. That is all of my traits. Sorry if you were expecting depth or something, but I am a shallow puddle of a human being. But anyway, all three of my traits are in terms of how I can serve others. So, is that why my existence also feels shallow or meaningless? Because I don't have an identity outside of this? I don't have an identity outside of what people or institutions have assigned me with? Or independent of my association to them? Like, I merely exist to be exploited or fulfill others' needs. And that's why I feel like I'm stuck in a loop. I'm constantly looking to other people to give me validation and purpose and just fucking tell me what to do, Father. I have internalized other people's expectations of whatever they consider worthy of respect and the associated unrealistic standards of behavior. And even when I do uphold them, I still feel like a failure because they're simply not enough for me. Because they have nothing to do with me. They're shallow and meaningless tokens of value. They don't last. They don't become defining parts of who you are as a person. Which means I've never actually lived outside these social constructs or simply conforming. I haven't learned to exist outside of people's and institutions' expectations and use of me. And I'm still relying on socially accepted standards of worth. I don't even know who I am outside of it. And I keep blaming other people, but what they're saying is really just a reflection of what I've been thinking to myself all of these years. And I don't want to keep dealing with this same shit over and over again where I feel compelled to provide reasons for why I take up space or apologize for it because others don't respect or approve of who I am and what I do. And it's a continuing pattern that's exhausting. Like, really? I'm still dealing with this shit? It's repetitive. It's boring. When do I outgrow this? When do I unlearn it? When do I heal from the trauma of trying to conform and uphold all this stupid shit? When do I start living life for myself as a well-adjusted human being? If that's even like a thing. How sure are we that well-adjusted isn't just another urban myth, like the abominable snowman, or experiencing happiness and fulfillment? But yeah, there's so much I still haven't healed from, or maybe even learned from. There's so much I haven't done yet, and so much I want to do. So much more I want to learn and achieve for myself as an individual, but I'm still stuck on this hellhole of a hamster wheel. This fucking treadmill to nowhere. I mean, I want an identity as an individual. I want to use adjectives that aren't always in relation to serving others. I mean, I want to be brave. I want to be independent. I want to be capable of coming up with more than 2 adjectives to describe myself as an individual, because I literally cannot even think of a third. The point is, where do I even start? When do I get around to that? What am I even supposed to be doing? Is that when this gnawing emptiness goes away? Is that when I'll finally feel like I belong? Like I deserve to exist? Or be happy? Or at least have a reason to wake up every morning? Is it wrong? Is it selfish for me to want this much for myself? So, do I just accept the waste of space and absolute fucking nobody label that everyone's trying to pin on me, instead of trying so hard to defend my existence and get society off my back? And think of it as an opportunity to reject society altogether and figure out what the fuck I want to do, or who I am, or who I want to be. I mean, if they've already written me off as a failure, then I guess I've got nothing to lose. Or maybe I'm afraid that I won't find anything anyway, that there really is no meaning. I'm not meant for any greater purpose. This rat race is really all that there is, and all that'll ever be. And I'll always feel this way. And now I've gone and got myself kicked out of society for nothing, just to feel like a dumbass rebellious school kid or something. When really I'm just scared and confused. But what the fuck does that even mean? To reject society? who the fuck has that kind of privilege anyway? To reject society and not face any consequences and be allowed to exist as an individual? Is that even possible? Or is what I'm facing now merely a taste of the actual punishment I will receive if I do reject it, even with all the privilege that I have? I don't think my privilege is enough to protect me from the revival of the Salem witch trials. It's not like I can get away with it. I'm not a white man. And actually, that might just be the source of all my problems. That I'm not a white man. Or even a man. But I guess even having a choice in the first place and being able to consider if I can get away with it is a privilege in and of itself. So, do I just give in then? And continue to do whatever they want me to do, like I have been for so long? Because, let's face it, I'm not special. No one is. Everyone's dealing with this shit, which is why spiritual gurus never go out of business. Also, giving in to avoid confrontation is pretty in character for me. I mean, so is being a pusillanimous little shit. And giving in would at least mean some sense of belongingness and acceptance, no matter how superficial or exploitative or exhausting. And I can continue to be distracted and be spared from having to think about the ever-present void. Or am I completely wrong as always? Is it not a complete rejection of either one, of individual or institution? Is it about finding yourself and what that means to you and how you fit into whatever already existing institution of your choosing? And it's not supposed to feel like eternal servitude or exploitation, but mutually beneficial. And that's what makes it truly meaningful. It needs to be both. And that's how you connect to people and feel like you belong and feel fulfilled. Which I suppose has been pretty fucking obvious this entire time. It's not like I'm revolutionary in coming up with this. I mean, that's what makes it ikigai. But what it does mean is that I'm still failing either way. I mean, it makes sense in theory, but who the fuck has actually done it? Have you? Do you personally know anyone who has? And have they really? Because what the fuck, this isn't Narnia? What institution is mutually beneficial? What institution allows you to have an identity as an individual or exist in a way that may undermine its authority or its role as sole beneficiary? I mean, hello? Capitalism? Innate nature of society? We've been through this? Which brings me back to square one. Which means that maybe all of this has just been a string of completely irrelevant excuses, so I don't have to come to terms with the reality of the situation. That there isn't any greater meaning to life, and I just don't fit in anywhere, and I think too much of myself when really I'm being selfish and lazy and not doing the shit I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm actually trying to reframe it so I can fully front my privilege and be an elitist and say, oh my god, I'm actually going through an existential crisis at the moment. Yeah, it's what all the runways in Milan are featuring this season. Maybe I just have really poor lung capacity, and that's why I can't breathe properly. I mean, we can't all be fucking Phelps. Maybe it's perfectly normal. Maybe it has nothing whatsoever to do with my ever-present aching sense of emptiness that I don't fucking know how to fill. Or maybe it's because of the chain smoking. Maybe I should start doing drugs because I'm pretty sure that's how everyone else is dealing with it. Maybe instead I should be looking up breathing tutorials and shut up about the void. Better yet, maybe I'll just get a power bank so my phone never dies and I can just continue scrolling to the ends of my existence and never have to think again. And what a luxury that would be, never having to think. I mean, was this really even a crisis to begin with, or am I just a miserable fucking person? Yeah. Okay, bye.